My name is Wojciech Przybylski. I represent Visegrad Insight, and we're thrilled to be here with Lato for this first-time event and for the first discussion, first panel, kickoff panel. Today's conference is a mix of inspiration talks and debates and our continuous workshops. And for the first discussion on the political directions of the three Cs, I invite to the stage Ms. Evika Silina, Parliamentary Secretary of the Prime Minister of Latvia. Ambassador Tit Risalo, Ambassador at Large for the connectivity of the Three Cs initiative as well, from Estonian Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Mr. Janusz Pietkiewicz, member of the European Economic and Social Committee from Poland. And dear Ambassador Edgars Bondors, who also made this event happen, Ambassador at Large of the Three Cs initiative. All right. Well, let me paint the perspective. Let's call it from the civil society. That's we also discussed throughout different workshops, preparing for this meeting today, but also for the larger understanding of where Three Cs initiative is going. In the report that we also produced last year, one of the scenarios was telling the story of Three Cs becoming one of the EU macro regions. So my first general question will be phrased around this. How much of importance the Three Cs initiative may have in Europe. And let me direct this question specifically to Ms. Silina now. I think the main component in the Three Cs initiative is energy. And this is the topic number one for Europe. How much of an importance and weight Three Cs initiative can bring to the European dimension also?
Thank you for your question. I don't know, does it work?
It works.
Yes, it works. So good morning to everyone, and thank you for coming so early in the morning, Saturday morning, and talking about those issues. I believe that the decisions that we will make will affect our future decades, and that's why this year's Three Cs forum and this civil society forum is very important. Our aim is to foster tangible results, focusing on new, ambitious, but still achievable and practical deliverables, so we can transform our vision into actions. Current extremely violently geopolitical situation, as you know, it can transform the highlights and importance of close cooperation between our countries. And our civil society demands future independence from Russia's energy sources. As we all know, we have discussed it in public and media. We still are very dependent from Russia's energy sources. So during the last couple of years, we have been through many crises, such as COVID, crisis and hybrid attacks from Belarus. I don't know, maybe not all of Three Cs countries felt it, but Latvia and Baltic states and all other countries as Poland, I believe, felt the hybrid attack from Belarus, as well as now we are forcing Russia's attack on Ukraine. So all of these highlights the necessity for strengthening resilience in all areas, such as economy, energy, health, and public resilience. I believe we have to think about regional synchronization, and energy is one of the main priorities for regionally thinking about synchronization, because we have to think how we, not just in Latvia, for example, but as well in Lithuania, in Estonia and Poland, how we will survive and how we will support our countries with energy if we really want to get off these Russia energy sources. And politically and publicly, we have said that we will do it as quick as possible. Energy independence is our priority for the short and medium term, and Europe currently is paying a very high price. Russian energy sources probably is one of the mostly debated issues in Latvia right now, and I believe in 3C's countries as well. And it is very important to understand what our civil society thinks about the prices we will be paying when we cut from Russia's energy sources. And without this public demand, probably government would not be able to move so quickly as we are doing right now. Civil society, NGOs, has been keen on demanding us to move more faster and to get this energy independence from Russia, not just as such an issue for energy, but stop financing Russia's war against Ukraine. It's, I believe, one of the most important issues right now. We are planning to build our own LNG terminal in Latvia, and decision has been made in synergy with our civil society, because some business plans maybe was more oriented before to getting more resources, more finances, but without those public discussions and without NGOs, we couldn't decide so fast as we are moving right now. Strong civil society is a backbone of our democracy in all our countries, and that's why I'm very happy to have this discussion before 3Cs, and we are looking forward to your good suggestions, what you will see, what is the outcome of our discussions right now today. I just can maybe have some good example of good cooperation with civil society in Latvia. When all this Russia's invasion in Ukraine started, you know that there has been many refugees from Ukraine, and without help of our civil society in Latvia, we could not manage so fast and so widely to this Ukrainian crisis. So this is one of the, I would say, most recent and most huge good examples of cooperation with private sector, government institutions, civil society, because such an openness and open heart and such a big charity foundations and discussions, and even with helping of cooperation, we could not proceed. So that's why I believe it is very important if we go further with political decisions in energy to get Green Deal. We cannot get it with your support, with civil society support, because we can make a decision to go there, but how we go there, it depends from our civil society.
Thank you, Mrs. Salina, and we will definitely come back to your remarks also in the discussion. We'll involve everyone with Q&A session in this panel also. But turning to for introductory remarks to Ambassador Risalo, I wanted to ask also, where's the space maybe for civil society, in your opinion, in setting the directions for connectivity? I mean, where do you see a window of opportunity in a way for 3Cs to involve civil society? Where's the role for it?
Yes, maybe I start with reflecting to the first question, that will 3Cs have an instrumental role in the development of European Union and Europe in general? And yes, of course. And I personally think that eastern parts of Europe are the new West Europe, in the sense that the Western Europe, our good partners there, didn't become prosperous just, sitting and waiting for it. It was a really real activity going on, economic activity in the society and as a general. And now, when we look sort of to the EU, then we see that the eastern flank of it is vibrating, I think more. And one of the original reasons why Three Seas initiative emerged was that if we looked at macro data in the economy-wise, then the Three Seas countries sort of generated a majority of the economic growth, but we didn't have all the necessary tools, I mean the infrastructure. So I think it is quite clear that we have an instrumental role there, and also geopolitically our region, as we see right now, is from one side from the stress, under the stress, but from the other side we are the ones who actually sort of create this resilience against this unimaginable war going on against not only Ukraine but the whole West, the democratic market economies. And so, yeah, we will be important strategically and economically. Now the question, what would be the role of civil society? I think it will be also instrumental in this. And, you know, every age has its themes sort of coming up somehow. And the themes of the first half of the 21st century are now kind of crystallizing. And the crisis we just had, you know, the COVID crisis, the war going on, they are like catalysts in bringing this all up. And, you know, if we thought maybe, you know, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 3 years ago, that, you know, digitalization, metaverses, blockchain, this is the core of the narrative in our age, then I think now we are back to the basics, and it is about trust and it is about partnerships. And when we talk about trust and partnerships, it is, I think, clear to everybody that the civil society has the most important role in this, because it just reacts quicker. And it is, what is trust? Trust is a bond between people. And of course, you know, we are bonded with Edgar's very well. You know, we talk quite often about the Three Seas and so on. Our governments, our politicians meet in Brussels and so on. Our businessmen make business and companies meet, and that Three Seas has a role there also. But the most important point of trust and partnerships is relation with people. And then this is mainly created in the civil society interaction.
Thank you, Mr. Ambassador. There is definitely an achievement, I think, and I have to say thank you, Mr. Ambassador Bondars, for trusting that we need to bring civil society into the table of the Three Seas, because when we were working for months with our fellows and experts from other think tanks across the region in the past year, one of the worrying signs was that civil society participation in governance has been dropping all across the region. So I see that Latvian presidency in the Three Seas is also in a way reinvigorating the trust that civil society matters somehow for political initiatives. Would you be so kind to describe, you know, the broader context of Latvian presidency in the Three Seas initiative, and also how important that direction is on, you know, focus on civil society?
Well, thank you very much. It's first of all my honor and pleasure to be here in this and to take part in Civil Society Forum. And well, I would like to come back to how we got to Three Seas Initiative and Civil Society Forum. Well, on several occasions like these, I have expressed already what is the evolution of Three Seas Initiative, and it's been since 2015 when idea was created, and then every summit in Dubrovnik, then in Warsaw, we got something new, something what essentially new. And for example, in Warsaw, it was a strengthening of transatlantic ties. Then in Bucharest, Memorandum of Understanding for creation of Three Seas Initiative Fund was signed. In Ljubljana, next summit, this fund became operational. In Tallinn, we had a digital summit, which was very important to bring more substance, and so on. And then for Riga summit, I think one of the how Riga summit will be remembered, it will be also for a civil society forum, which is taking place today. And also I would like to underline that declaration which we are working on for Riga summit also contains one paragraph that it's kind of recommendation for next summit also to organize civil society forum. So I think that Tit just mentioned that civil society is kind of instrument, and I would like just to add that Riga summit declaration might bring it to institutionalization of civil society forum within Three Seas initiative. I think this is important. There are already many very good examples were mentioned, and effectiveness of communication, and I think the civil society is about to bring communication, to make communication alive, and it's effective. Also, Madam Evika Silinia mentioned our kind of success stories with problematic issues, but because of civil society and communication, the solutions can be more effective. So I will stop here now and continue.
Yeah, we will come back to that in the discussion, I'm sure. And I wouldn't, make all of you again aware that we're going to open it for a discussion. So get your questions also ready. But turning to Janusz Pietkiewicz, I have now more, maybe even practical question of how do we know that civil society matters in multilateral organizations? You're part of the European Economic and Social Committee, where the civil society is the essence, or the involvement of civil society is the essence, is an instrumental role in shaping European policy. So we're blinking to you a bit and asking, what are the good advices? What to do, what to not to do with the civil society when thinking about the 3C. So it actually, brings in the added value, resonates with policymaking and political directions.
Thank you very much. Good morning. Do you hear me? Okay. Good morning. I'm very honored to be here, and thank you for invitation, because it's very important for our organization on European scale, European Economic and Social Council, that we can participate in the discussion, giving you some our perspective how to, in practical ways, as a moderator, a friend said, to use to make the 3C initiative more visible, more effective, and acting in larger scale, not only in the 12 countries which are the members of the 3C initiative. When I'm being as a Polish citizen, and for many years for the third mandate in Brussels, so I look from two sides, in fact. I know about 3C initiative from our side, from the Polish side. But when I look from the other side, it is very let's say, not very much known about the 3C initiative in the other countries. So like we have 2 Europes. It's not, I'm not going to criticize, but when I talk to our friends from the EECs in Brussels, in Portugal, in Ireland, in France, in Spain, and so on, and I say, look, I'm going to Riga. I'm going first to Sofia because I went as an observer for the summit in Sofia. And I told them it's going a very active role, the 12 countries connected together from the south to the north, not from the east and west as used to be in Europe. So I'm going to, what's going on there? I said, 3C initiative. It's already in Sofia for the 6 years, now the 7th years. And everybody look at me, what is that? So they knew about micro-regional policy strategies in 4 regions in Europe, like Adriatic and Ionian. The first one was, in fact, in the Baltic Sea countries. Then Alpian, Danube, it's 29 and 10s and 15, 16. So all the things which are going on and cooperate within the European Union. When I told them about 3 Seas initiative, it's the European initiative. It's not against European Union. It's within the European Union. So we have to use all the possibilities to be together. So that's, I repeat, it's not a criticizing. It is a fact that we need to be more visible. I say the 3 Seas initiative, because otherwise the 3 Seas initiative will not touch the civil society organization, and the EECs, my committee in Brussels, is the proper place to do it. This is the house of civil society. On the other side is the house of compromises. So there's no document which leaves from this committee without being discussed, debated, and agreed as a compromise. That's why it is so important when we do anything like the macro strategies in Europe. We discuss among the 27 countries. For the working groups which we are going to have today, I brought a lot of examples how to do it, and how in practical ways to use all the mechanism in Europe to make any cross-border initiative, it's this cross-border initiative, 12 countries, to make it more effective. I know that when you look from the potential of this region, we heard it in the speech of President Biden last year. We had in the speeches of the commissioners, of all of the very important guests. So they underlined the German president, even as a guest, the president of Greece last year. So all of them underlined the huge potential of this part of Europe, and they understood the need to cover the imbalances, disparities, which we have historically here. And to use also the special funding, not only our own one as an investment fund, as Mr. Bonda said, agreed in Bucharest, but to use also as a special funding entering in the projects which are being negotiated, being effectively done in Europe. So this is also the very important point, how to make the civil society very active role, to put it in agenda in Europe, the promotion of the 3 Seas, inclusive also all the potential investment which we can have from their side, and to support to do it outside of the region. When I looked, for instance, at the role of the civil society, which are now very important due to that unfortunate unjustified war in the Ukraine. So all the papers, all the strategies which we have in Europe are being changed now, adopted to the new situation. And the role for civil society, from the humanitarian point of view, social point of view, but only politically, it's much more important. And when we had also the meetings with the commissioners, with the president of the European Commission, all underlined now the bigger role and the bigger importance of the civil society. Let me now refer to even to the speech of Mrs. von der Leyen when we had her in a plenary in December. So in the 3 priorities for the short run, when it was in December, she mentions first the vaccination, which is not now in the board, then the inflation, and of course the prices of the energy, and the third one was the social dialogue and the role of the civil society. She underlined very strongly that even the European Commission are working now on a special instruction, not the directive, but a special instruction, which will be adopted at the end of this year, how the social dialogue, means the role of civil society organization, will be even more importantly treated on the European level, national level, regional level, and local governments. So this is so important that even from that part in Europe, we will have the strong push on the role of civil society and the social dialogue. So this is one point, which is very important for our further discussion.
Thank you. Thank you for making this point and underlying this, this direction. Now, of course, we didn't come here empty-handed. For a number of months, we have been engaging together with LATO, other civil society organizations, think tanks, NGOs, also media representatives, in a discussion of what meaningful input would civil society have for the 3 Cs. Let me just give you a couple of examples, those that were elaborated through online workshops that we had so far and will be continued, I believe, today. One, well, we started off by saying that there is no collaboration today between the 3 Cs as a political agenda or a business agenda and the civil society as such, which is a missing component. I think we underlined it clearly. And it's also not happening, which is a missed opportunity when we look also at the funding, the level of funding that may be brought in with the civil society help to the region for 3 Cs related projects. And those ideas for projects, for the initiatives, were ranging from the area of resilience that you all touched upon, from the analysis, from from using the full potential of the think tank analytical community, to also engaging the civil society education, civic education essentially, also digital education that the societies want to learn from one another today. We know that for a number of years, Lithuanians have worked out how to fight disinformation through so-called ELVS brigades. And we know, of course, Estonia's long-standing experience in the realm of digitalization. The other countries of the region are just looking up to those examples, and definitely civil society is looking for ways to plug in and to do more, to make more meaningful impact on using the best examples. It's not just, one, again, an inspiration for the whole of Europe, but specifically, it's a neighbor's expectation to learn from one another. Another type of ideas that the civil society workshops, this foresight workshops that we've been putting together were bringing was awareness of the military component. And most probably we can say this is because of the ongoing war, but that consideration is also very present in the civil society in Central Eastern Europe, across the 3 Cs countries, that the economic resilience, the democratic resilience brings in the defensive resilience. And infrastructure projects within the 3 Cs have also this element of making us more defendable, let's say, the stronger defense. So the north-south mobility as a result of 3 Cs initiative has been a voice of expectation from the workshop for the engagement we have had. Madam Secretary, you mentioned green, if I'm not mistaken, the Green Deal. Indeed, there is plenty of room for at least a discussion how to innovate 3 Cs initiative, and there is a lot in the civil society of the ideas which direction the green transformation will be going, and how does it match 3 Cs, where many of the infrastructure projects are still related to fossil fuel. So I will not spell it out, but there is definitely a focal point in the civil society on the energy and green, how this is going to be also transformative for the region. And finally, there is a whole discussion about transparency and a focus on information, but also the agency of societies in the 3 Cs initiative that has been missing. Not just empty talk. I would say there is an element of benefit of also which is transmitting the idea of regional cooperation beyond the existing ruling coalitions that is necessary here, that we all engage in the discussion how essentially our money is spent. In the 3Cs initiative, what I think everybody should admire is this effort of these countries to invest together to their own common transnational benefit and through transnational projects, and also to demonstrate within the European Union that this region is thinking seriously about next steps. Now we are benefiting enormously from investment from EU. I think we can call 3Cs initiative leverage for this investment also to enhance and to make the best out of this opportunity that we have, historical opportunity to be so much plugged in and develop in the European Union. But there's also an element of learning how we're going to invest ourselves in future, because the EU funds are not necessarily going to be the EU funds of today of perspective. So within the 3Cs initiative, there is a lot of talk in the civil society, from civil society perspective, how to talk about money. How to bring in the element which is making it more sustainable, long-term, effective and efficient. And there was a lot of this focus. So these are the key points from discussions that we have had and will definitely have now, and also encouraging raised hands. We will immediately take any questions that you will have also. So I see already one hand coming up. But first, let me ask you a general question. If you wanted to respond to any of these ideas that you see, somehow immediately, interesting in your perspective, or any of those that you want to highlight. Let me give you a moment to reflect on that. And we have 3 questions, so even more. So let's take them. The first one here, and there is a mic. If you could just step forward in front of you. Yeah, that's how we'll do it. Please introduce yourself. Yeah.
It's working, okay. So my name is Julita Wilczek. I'm from Poland, from the Institute of New Europe. So I was very interesting when you mentioned, I think several people mentioned, that there is a coming institutionalization of this, of the civic society cooperation in the region, which is really, really great. But I was hoping if there is maybe a plan for like a grants that the institutions could apply, for example, similar to Visegrad Fund, where organizations could apply for money to do cross-regional projects, because so far there is no such funding and it really inhibits the cooperation. So we are basically trying to find some money elsewhere, and it's really, I think it slows down the potential cooperation in the region. Thank you.
Thanks. So let's take 2 additional questions and then bring it back to the panel.
Thank you so much, Wojtek. Pavel Havlic from the Association for International Affairs, Prague-based think tank. I would like to make use of the presence of such outstanding guests as you are, to ask a question that is maybe going outside of the civil society forum as such that we are launching here today, and I'm so proud to be here actually for that. But if we may speak beyond the 12 countries that were mentioned here already, and when we referred to interconnectedness, and energy, such important issues, this obviously includes the wider region, countries such as Ukraine, Moldova, Georgia, the other Eastern partner countries, we have just recently discovered when we were preparing a report for the Czech MFA that the interconnectedness element is relatively weak with some of the countries. How could we maybe together to facilitate stronger interconnectedness with our closest partners, above all Ukraine, but also other countries of our immediate neighbors that is so heavily struck by this cruel war of Russia. Thank you so much.
Fantastic, thank you. So we have already 2 questions. Would you take yes, or this mic? Yeah.
Yeah, thank you very much, all panelists, setting the ground for our further discussion, because the aim of the Civil Society Forum is in the end to come up with a list of recommendations for the summit in June. So my question would be to each of the panelists, what would be your recommendation to civil society, what we have to do in order to become part of this initiative? Because at the very beginning, it was Madam Selenya who mentioned that deliverables are very important. So what we as civil society have to deliver today. Thank you.
Fantastic. So we have 3 questions, direct questions. You may also come back to the ideas that I flashed out, but we can use it also for later. First is how to imagine that we make this cooperation in the 3 Cs sustainable. There's a question about making based on the example of the Visegrad Fund, should there be a 3 Cs sort of like funding opportunity for this civil society cooperation? Very practical question, you know. A bigger question also beyond the 3 Cs as it is defined today from that we have is how to ensure interconnectedness with the neighbors. And 3 Cs, let me underline, has been present, and we also have guests and colleagues from Ukraine and Georgia here present, is an element of discussion in its neighborhood. So I think the relevance of 3 Cs for the neighborhood is really important to reflect on. Yes, and the third question, how to make it relevant, how to make our today's work relevant in your, you know, what will you, even personally, in your capacity, take, and how would you see that you can benefit from this forum? So I think we'll take it from, you know, with the same order of appearances.
Okay, I just can say probably those questions you ask are interconnected. And if we are speaking about special foundations, so there are already special foundations for European level policies making, but we will see if outcome of this civil society forum comes as such that there is a special recommendation for organizing such a foundation, then probably this proposal should be presented to politicians and experts, which will be speaking and debating on 3 Cs initiative. So we'll see, maybe there is possible such an outcome for a special fundraising. So for now, I would say it's not. I would not say it's not possible. So it depends from your suggestions as well. But following the next question, such a foundation should be connected with the targets we want to reach. And as already been told, I liked the colleagues spoke about the raising the voice of 3 Cs initiative, because some partners in Europe doesn't understand what we actually are doing here. But this would be the answer to Jeanette's question, what would be the best outcome of this society forum? I would say raising the voice of society, raising the voice of civil society, media, public understanding, because, for example, if we as a politicians are speaking for some new policies or some new investments with our partners, for example, in US or France or United Kingdom, it is very important that we can represent this voice together. Not just Latvia or not just Baltics, as we usually do. We already have found that if we go as 3 Baltic states, we are much stronger because the voice of 3 Baltic states are behind us. But if we can do it together with all 3 Cs countries, then sure we can show the effectiveness, the resilience of those ideas, and we can move much faster in reaching our targets. As to the other countries, you know, sure, right now the Ukraine is the main priority, but sure we have to think about other countries which are mainly those which are not far enough not to be the partners or just maybe the guest partners for 3Cs initiative. So I believe we are open-minded to those countries. So we need to work further and actually find the way how can we invite you in those negotiations and discussions we are having in 3Cs. So I believe really the raising voice of civil society is really strong in outcome which could come after the 3Cs discussions.
Thank you. Let me also underline that on one hand, we have a coalition of the willing here, thanks to fantastic hospitality of Latvian guests. We were able to pull this together, but also there is an investment coming. This is only not civil society representatives here invested in traveling, for instance, here. So they're coming here, putting some money also behind. This is not all a request for making the 3Cs now chip in money, I believe. But part of the discussion we have had also is how to enable civil society in organizations in 3Cs be more efficient and effective in getting EU funds together, because there isn't enough. I mean, there's plenty of opportunities for civil society connectivity if we use and work on the platform of 3Cs to get more EU funds, for instance, for this. So I think that's also important to underline. And that will, I believe, make 3Cs also more heard, more 3Cs civil society more heard on the EU platform, and also make it more European. But now, Mr. Ambassador, on the connectivity question, I think you're the right person to ask this. How much 3Cs wants to connect itself, and how much of the discussion, for instance, on Ukraine has been already present in the discussions on 3Cs or Western Balkans?
Yes, so question by question, is it a good idea to have a 3C civil society fund? I think absolutely. One of the flagships of 3Cs movement is the 3Cs investment fund, so which we created to pool our resources to build cross-border infrastructure. So. And why it is so important is that, of course, our biggest donor this far has been European Union, and now the question was when establishing 3Cs initiative that, are we just, sitting and relying on the EU's taxpayers' money, or should we try to do something ourselves? Should we involve more private capital? And that's what we are doing. The same model can absolutely be, used also on the civil society side. And I know a little bit what I'm speaking about. More than 10 years ago, I was the chairman of the board of Estonian Civil Society Foundation. So I know that this money is spent well. So yes, I'm for it. And of course, I also know that from sort of my bureaucratic life that it has to be well thought through and targeted to this cross-border cooperation. And there are examples going right now. I was also active in setting up the humanitarian coordination center for Ukraine and Estonia. I already saw how Estonian, Latvian, Lithuanian, Ukrainian, Polish NGOs are working together in this chain. So yes. My answer is yes. And so what we should do with our neighbors, when I was on Edgar's position, sort of like the main Sherpa for the 3Cs initiative some years ago when Estonia had the presidency, or however we call it, we raised this issue several times, but it's a consensus-based organization. So Estonian view from the very beginning has been that it should be as open as possible, and we think open towards the people who really, are sort of philosophically core part of it, or the nations. And I don't quite well understand this logic that let's take Germany there and let's Greece and so on. This for me has no point. For me, the point is to join the forces of the new Europe inside and also outside now the European Union to build prosperity in this area. And what harm would it do if we have the Ukrainians, Georgians, the Balkans on board? And maybe it's not the right thing to express. It's also kind of a compassion, because we are kind of in and we still remember what it is to be out. And I think we should do everything to engage this in this our brothers of destiny in this in every institution. I understand it's not so easy with EU and NATO, because their structures and it's understandable. But Free Seas is a movement, so we can do it. Yes, we had a plan to have a special Ukrainian sort of stream in Estonian summit, but unfortunately the COVID sort of spoiled it, and we had to descale it. But, so.
Well, Estonia organized, of course, a digital summit then, and it was also marvelously performing. On the last point, this is a question to all of you, but I will start now with Edgar Spondars and Mr. Pietkevich. What would you say? How this civil society forum can be meaningful, relevant in the 3 Cs? What would be your advice, but also your expectations? I'll return. Okay, yeah, go ahead. You were delegated, Mr. Ambassador. Just
I cannot be before the ambassador. No.
No. That was specific request.
No, but seriously, yes. I would like to repeat trust and partnership. And then also the very good words of your president here in Latvia, that now if you manage to organize the first civil society forum, now everything is in your hands. Because now this is the organization which starts. And I say that to make the voice of civil society more visible and stronger, so you need not only sometimes, you need just a kind of organization. So coming back to the what Janeta asked us to make the recommendation, I would like to recall the examples which we have in Europe, for instance. A lot of special papers like resolution or like information report or exploratory opinion. So just to use this kind of things, also having in mind that we have every semester, we have the presidency of the Council of Europe. And let me now give you the example. When I was preparing the visit here, I saw the papers from Bucharest. At that time, the speech of the commissioner for neighborhood and for policy, regional policy, was a very good one, and he mentioned exactly what I'm meaning right now. And then the minister of Romanian minister sent a letter using the possibility in the European Commission, Article 304, asking the EEC committee to prepare a special exploratory opinion, which we did in fact. And that opinion was done in 2019 and have a lot of policy recommendations for all the macro regions in Europe and for the future. So this is the way. If the Civil Society Forum, in an organized way, will ask the country which will have the next presidency in Europe, Czech Republic, for instance, just ask them from the political point of view what kind of exploratory opinions or issues they would expect from the civil society, from the 3 Cs initiative. And that will be done in half a year, for instance. That will be a good basis for the recommendation, given the recommendation not only from 12 countries, from the whole Europe, from the civil society of 27 countries. But if we get as a committee this kind of official mandatory request, so we will do it in half a year. So this is one way just to involve the civil society from outside of the 3 Cs initiative, to be involved and to work for the benefit of the 3 Cs initiative future. Mm-hmm. This is one way. So second way is that really to organize some documents will be addressed to politically leaders, but from bottom up. I can give you, when we have that working group, so I will give you some classical recommendations and the papers. How does it look in practice?
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Pitkevich.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Now we'll hear it all.
I think we are approaching the term which we can describe identity. What is our identity? How we should develop our identity of Three Seas Initiative region? I think still in more Western Europe, there are perceptions that this region is more post-communist than better governed by, for example, digital tools. I think this is about really about identity, how what we offer to the other Europe, and I think civil society have a role in it, in creating new identity and presenting it. Of course, we are coming from different regions in Three Seas Initiative. We have the different cultures within countries, and even without small regions. But I think this common identity that we are fast forwarded, we are open-minded for new things, for new digital things, for this. I think this could be role of civil society. Also, I just would like to share that if we would be about Ukraine and Moldova and Eastern Partnership countries and Western Balkan countries, how they belong to this, let's say, Three Seas Initiative. I think they are part, of course, of not only Three Seas Initiative, but of Western civilization, let's name it so. If we would paint a map of the Europe or the world, or let's say Europe in white and black, it would be no doubt where Ukraine, Moldova, Georgia belongs. I think that also Eurovision is a good example that people are what people are feeling. What are they empathy towards Ukraine and now? And I think this is civil society all about, how to make this emotional attachment to many things which are political or economical or whatever. And that's why I think one of recommendations might be that there is idea to proposal to allocate some money from investment fund towards civil society, development of civil society. So I think it would be a good idea.
Thank you. Fantastic. I think I would underline what you said, that there is this identity of the Three Seas that is now is being shaped as something else than we used to be considered as a communist legacy region or post-communist legacy region. In fact, when we explored in last year in the strategic foresight, we were amazed that from the American perspective, which of course they are interested in the Three Seas region, this is a gateway to tell the story of the whole Europe a little bit differently. Because from the US perspective, Europe is a legacy problem, not essentially about communism, but it's a post-war legacy of keeping it safe. And of course, US is engaged in defending Europe and defending the whole security system, I would say global. But Three Seas Initiative strives at demonstrating that there is also opportunity, there is an agility in this region that drives your interest in Europe, in investing in Europe for more than just United States. This is what we have found there is an appetite, there is interest from across democracies in Southeast Asia to look at the Three Seas as an opportunity to get engaged more. So I think this is worth really underlying and also spelling out during such a forum like this.
May I add some small remark to ambassadors?
Please go ahead, and I'll look for new questions.
So my small amendment. I would like to recall the program which was used by the 4 micro-regions in Europe in 2017-2020, cultural roots and cultural democracy in the 4 regions, just to talk about legitimacy, like the whole history, which can be found together within the 4 micro-regions. If we now put some recommendation on the same cultural roots and cultural diplomacy from the added value from on part of the civil society in the 3C initiative, having in mind that achievement, which we have 2017-2020, would be a very good recommendation to find the common roots for the whole regions.
Fantastic. Thank you. Please, yes, please step up.
My name is Konstantin Yonatamishvili. I'm from Georgia, and organizers, thank you for inviting Georgia in Civic Forum. Georgian NGOs, Georgian experts strongly support Georgia's cooperation with 3C. I think I can say this. And we think the cooperation can be mutually beneficial. And in the last Sofia Declaration in Sofia that states that the 3C's initiative will cooperate with countries that share the same values. And we already discussed, my colleague asked a question about Moldova, Ukraine, and Georgia. And maybe I have a very concrete question to Ambassador Wonders, if it's possible to answer. Will representatives of Georgia's government participate in the summit or not? If it's possible to answer, it's really very interesting for us. Thank you.
Thank you. We have a specific question. I see now again more questions, but that's fine. We'll have 2 rounds. There was a gentleman there. So, yeah.
Hello, Kamil Jaronczyk from Visegrad Insight. My question is about, of course, Mr. Pietkiewicz was speaking a lot about the macro regions, and of course that was in the policy recommendation as well. I wanted to ask about the possibility for 3C's projects to be part of TENT network in the European Union. If in Poland's can the Via Carpatia and related projects become feasibly part of the TENT, as is a new priority for Poland? It's a new priority projects. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We'll take one more. So please step forward. You can adjust also the mic. Yes.
This might work better.
Exactly.
I'm always saying the microphone.
That's the civil society initiative.
Yeah, actually I have 2 questions. Sorry for that. First of all, Wojciech, you've been mentioning how the 3Cs should expand to new areas, military cooperation, civil society, and so on and so forth. But as soon as we start expanding, we're bumping into parallel structures. So infrastructure is a great niche area for this regional cooperation, but can we go beyond that? Is there any added value? This is the first question. The second question is about the fund itself. As far as I understand, the 3Cs investment fund acts as a private investment fund with a minimum required rate of return, and all the investments should be commercially viable and they should make money. Now, let me ask the very blunt question then what's the added value? If we do not have some kind of a political direction to this, if we cannot assign projects which are economy not so much viable but strategically important, then what is the added value of the investment fund? It's just going to be another investment fund out there without any special interest to the regional needs and security needs of the region. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. All right, so we have well, a whole palette of different questions. We don't need to answer them all, you know. Let me, yes, you start. You definitely start with Georgia.
I can take the last one.
All right, fantastic.
Okay, good. Yeah, gentleman from Georgia, I think he was quoting para 19 from Sofia Declaration, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know the whole paragraphs of Sofia Declaration by the words, but I think I remember this very well, because Three Seas Initiative is providing opportunities for Three Seas Initiative countries to make projects outside of Three Seas, with the neighboring countries of Three Seas Initiative, which Georgia is considered one of those countries, if it is in common line with the Three Seas Initiative. So it is possible that project-wise, these countries are already connected, and I just want to add that there are already several projects which, before even war started in Ukraine, several projects which are are common with Ukraine, Moldova, and other countries in Western Balkans. There was something, if I may, just for Three Seas Initiative Fund, there is board of directors which is deciding how this money should be spent. So I think there are many different many different obstacles which are taken into consideration for.
Thank you. Mr. Ambassador, you were signaling to answer the last question.
Yes, so I happen also to be in the supervisory board of the Three Seas Investment Fund, so I know what is going on there, and I think we should start from the beginning, that why it was created. It was not created to solve all the investment needs of Three Seas area. It's we made a study together with Polish Development Bank for the Tallinn Summit, and also International Monetary Fund, and it's in the magnitude of $1.3 trillion. So this is the task we actually have. But you have to sort of start somehow, in addition to our own budget, in addition to EU budget. And Three Seas Fund was created to sort of make a case study should considerably big fund succeed in this area. And if you think that there is a huge cure of private capital or private funding waiting to come into this area, the answer is no. And we are in the competition, and in the competition between regions, and if you talk with investment houses in London or in Stockholm, they do it in Scandinavia, in Germany, in Canada, or in Australia, because it's it's just safer. And so this is one of the first and gives good returns. So this is one of the points of Three Seas Investment Fund, to sort of drag attention into this area by at first putting our skin into the game. So most of the local development banks have invested there, and thus, get attention and get trust. And if this fund starts to work, then there is the hope that there will be, other ones coming. And with this, the target size of this fund is 3 to 5 billion, which is, with leverage already a considerable sum, but still, a marginal part of this 1.3 trillion. But yeah, the main idea for us was to make a successful case. And the other issue is that what we are trying to do is mainly cross-border infrastructure, and a lot of these projects are there, but they are not that bankable. And so this is infrastructure in itself is an asset class that in this sense needs to be developed, to be packaged, so that Australian teachers' pension fund really has a trust to come and invest in our area. And when these decisions are made, of course, also they, money follows the hype. In some cases, it's extreme hype, like, buying Bitcoin or Twitter stocks or whatever. But it also works in the very conservative sort of investment world. And we just, as I said, we are in the competition, so we have to hype ourselves up. And the bigger point that projects in the bigger infrastructure networks and and infrastructure which is maybe not the projects that are not possible to make profitable or bankable totally, then I think we also help with attention. And this point was raised here that also in the context of the EU, I think our voice is heard more if we do it collectively, and we show also a track record of doing something ourselves. So these are my 3 explanations.
Right, fantastic. Yeah, okay.
And yeah, what concerns the fund, then yeah, it is in this sense completely commercially oriented, that it has an investment advisory board who makes the decisions. But this is important, the first 3 investments that the fund did, we managed to do quite quickly, and they were especially selected to showcase that this fund is profitable, so that when the fund manager, who is also responsible for the funding, goes to the roadshow, they have a full picture that people in Hong Kong don't think, or in Singapore, that how the decisions are made, not some shady offices in somewhere in Eastern Europe. It is done according to the best practices of investment world.
Mm-hmm.
I think, thank you, Tito, very much, because I think this is a perfect transfer from also our partners in France or Germany, who are telling that the EU funds are maybe enough for your part of European Union, but this is a very good explanation why this 3Cs Initiative Fund gives additional opportunities to develop connectivity projects north-south in our region. Mm-hmm. Thank you.
But my question to that, to all of you, would you already name something which is, a signal 3Cs only or specific investment that we can point as a success story, or this is still like, we're still working in that direction to find one, to have an example of a primary example, like this is only possible because of the 3Cs investment. It's a common question.
I don't think that there is something that is possible only because of this fund. This is now how it works. But we already have very good cases that are there. If I start closer from home, one of the first investments came to a company called Greenery data centers, which is a sort of a new technology-based green data center, and the idea there is to sort of not to end with this project, but build up a network of this kind of data centers. So because it's reasonable to sort of multiply the technology. Why it is so important is I think it will get more and more attention worldwide, because data. From one side, it's sort of like the new oil of the economy. From the other side, while understanding this, there are more and more threats into the security of the data. So the data centers we actually have in our area are not good enough to support the digital economy. Mm-hmm. And so it is not just one company making a data center and making decent profit of it. It's building up 21st century digital infrastructure. So I know that right now the talks are going on to do the same next project. The Estonian one was launched in February in Bulgaria, and so on. So and I think it is interesting, cool project. Why the support of 3Cs investment fund was needed is because if you do the first one, it's pretty expensive, and you do it in an area which is not sort of like the top 10 wish list of the data center constructors. They want to be, maybe in Norway. Mm-hmm. It's safer. But we need this kind of infrastructure also in East Europe. So this is the added value of the 3Cs investment fund, that they had the courage to do it. Second project, very important in the green turn context, is Greenery, which is operating or building green energy facilities all over the area. And there are, next ones in the pipeline.
Yes. All right. Let's maybe have the last round for. Oh, well, 1, 2, 3, which is great. Each time we have 3. So, gentleman here, and then a lady there, and please come step forward with your questions. There's also a mic here, just easier.
It's more prestigious place.
Thank you very much.
These questions are better than those.
Thank you very much. Tengis Phaladze, European Center for International Political Economy. Definitely a Free Sea initiative. It's extremely important for the European cooperation, development, welfare, and so on. And there are a number of concrete projects, commercial initiatives. However, to develop those projects, it requires significant financial support, investment, and then we always come to the security challenges, especially when it comes to the Black Sea region, because investment, it always requires stability and security. And we are living in the situation when we have growing security threats, be it conventional and unconventional, information and hybrid, cyber and so on. I know that 3C initiative has no security dimension. However, this is the significant challenge. How can we secure today the 3C initiative?
All right.
Thank you.
Okay, great. So we have noted down this question. Lady there first, and then.
Thank you very much. I'm Agnieszka Homajska from Visegrad Insight, and as a matter of fact, I am still a student, and I'm very honored to be here with you today. And this is why I decided to ask my question, because I don't really believe in building civil society without education and promotion of it among young people. And we are talking about innovations, we are talking about funding, non-governmental organizations, think tanks. And I wanted to ask you whether you're planning on promoting and educating the 3Cs initiative. Do you want to include us, young people, in the promotion and in the process of building the civil society, because I reckon that it is very, very important, and I can see among my friends from the university that they are losing the interest in the region. They are looking toward other directions, and I have to admit I'm sad, and I don't want to see it. So thank you very much.
Thanks. We have a concrete challenge to answer. And the last question.
Hi, my name is Raice Glidis. I represent the World Federation of Free Latvians, which is a Washington-based organization, diaspora organization. And my question, therefore, is: I am noticing that the focus is shifting. The 3Cs focus is shifting to Europe, which is nice. But so, what about the United States? Are we using the Americans just to protect the security of the 3Cs investments? Is the United States still active in this? And should we, as our lobbying efforts in Washington are now going full gear for to support Ukraine, should we focus our lobbying efforts to raise awareness of the 3Cs in the Congress and among the United States civil society? Thank you.
Fantastic. Oh, well, we have time still, but it sounds like a whole new discussion, right? But super interesting. So there's a question on security, how to think at least about security in the 3Cs initiative. I remember also in Riga, at the sides of the Riga conference, we also discussed, and I think Ben Hodges, speaking of the American counterparts from the Atlantic Council, was asking, how 3C's digital perspective can bring in digital security to hard investment in energy, for instance, or railway connections, where, as we see, I mean, these are critical elements. So security question. There is a question on getting the new generation engaged. And the third one, which I think is, yes, exactly, it's a whole new big topic, but definitely worth pondering upon, the US interest and our interest in US interest in the 3Cs initiative. Yes. Madam Secretary.
That was the last question.
Yes, I think we can. Yeah, exactly. Let's start with that, and I wonder what you have to say.
I can start with the last question about US, and in June there will be a special business forum for getting interest from our US partners, and not just US, as well as UK, France, Japan. So because it's very important not just stay in this area. We are talking now about 3Cs, so in Latvia we will organizing this special forum for getting more interest from our strategic partners, as you were asking about US. And so your question is very legit in a sense of for us to make a bigger effort of getting more attention in this region. We could say that these security issues raised now by war in Ukraine for sure has raised many other questions, as well as how our countries, how transparent we are for other investors come here and put their investments here. But sure, the security issues, I would say, in this time will be open for a while, and there will be no clear answers to many of them. But if we can speak about political level and political understanding, so the 3Cs countries are living in a common mood of understanding what Russia is a threat and what should be done, that we cannot hesitate to make very fast steps, which should be done exactly right now. So in such a way, 3C's initiative somehow protects our security interests in such a region, maybe even more better than other countries which are not in 3Cs even can imagine what should be done. So there is some kind of common sense of what should be done, and there probably will not be some special force, task force included in 3C's initiative to secure your investments if those are coming here. But this is more understanding of policymakers which are involved in 3C's initiatives. So this is a very good point of cooperation with private partners, investors, public society, and policymakers. So this would be my answer to you. And about US, about young generation, for sure, we maybe look very in some kind of circle, talking about our own ideas and policy making. That's why I believe the civil society forum somehow helps us to go more open and wide, and there is a place for young people coming in. Probably we probably should think about more special forums or special tools, actually, how reach you, because you cannot probably reach by conferences. You probably can be reached more by TED Talks and YouTube and something like that. So thank you for your question, and for me it really makes sense raising such a question.
Thank you. On the U.S. engagement, let me remind you that we have had in the past administration a pledge of $1 billion to match up the funding that is generated by the region for the investment fund. Now, I'm not sure what's the status now, but I think it's still coming in investments. It hasn't materialized in the fund. Maybe this is an area where the lobbying on the US side should be focusing.
Now, if I may comment on this, so the US attention to this initiative has been from the very beginning. and for various reasons, because, I think we are good partners in various issues, but not only this. We haven't been speaking about this right now on the conferences a lot, but if we think 6 months back or 4 months back, the China issue raised quite often, and it is still there. And how it is connected to what we do here, it's the same question of developing the infrastructure. So it will be one of the most instrumental questions in the 21st century when the infrastructure is created, the digital one, but also our grids and transport links, which all have a digital layer there. Who builds it and who controls it? Is it according to our rules, rule of law, market economy, democracy, or somebody else's? So, and this is what, of course, is the kind of a geopolitical aspect of our movement also. And that's why it passed a review when the administrations changed very quickly. I think you know better that not every initiative that one administration initiates from one party is taken over, gladly with the new administration. But Free Seas initiative was one of the first ones that actually passed this review. And what concerns the financial involvement in the fund, then I think, yes, when it was announced, I'm sorry to say, people didn't look into all the legal frameworks around it. And it took some time to correct it. So actually, Congress had to change the mandate of Development Finance Corporation, who is then the homologue of our development banks, more or less. And so this is in the making, and I think we hear news in Riga, I have heard, during the Riga summit. I don't know what they will be. So, but that about America, but actually I wanted to start about the youth. Yes, I'm from my side personally, I'm doing my best. So I try to travel with my family, especially in the eastern parts of Europe, because just to let them sort of recognize and understand that, these countries are there and they're interesting and vibrant and so on. They will end up in Berlin or Paris or, anyway one moment. But engaging sort of the young generation and make them to sort of understand what there is that joins us, of course, is important. But not everything can happen, instantly. We love this nowadays, but I think the first steps have taken. Approximately a year ago, there was a youth forum in Warsaw. Actually, I took part, and it was specially oriented to sort of bring together then different organizations and people from the Free Seas area. I don't know, is there a plan to continue with this, what will be the future developments, but I think the thinking is there. So, I hope it will continue.
No,
and the last point is on security issues. I don't think, if I got the question correct, I don't think Free Seas is going to turn into hardcore security, organization or will have this kind of branch. But, as we all know, that one of the instrumental parts of security, or more important parts of security, is economic security. And usually, the world is about economic security. So I think in this context, Free Seas has an important role to play, helping to generate economic security for this region.
Thank you. Definitely, I see that this element of how to innovate and how to engage the new generation. I mean, I wanted to say we'll take it from here. I mean, this is civil society. This is the purpose. Also, how to to bring the idea of how to do it. But is there an announcement coming at the Riga summit?
Well, at first, I would like to remind that the United States are the strategic partner for Three Seas initiative, and of course, it's been a quite long process when which started already several years ago with a pledge of the United States towards a 3Cs initiative fund, I don't know about announcement, but I know that there will be, the job has been done in the United States, in State Department, and those structures which are responsible for managing the support for such a project as 3Cs initiative. So I think it will come to the very logic kind of beginning, not the end, but very logic beginning of start to contribute of the United States. And it might be along, I mean, this could be during the summit, of course. And I would like to express my appreciation to Pasaules Brīvo Latviešu apvienība, Organization of Free Latvians of the World, for lobbying. I know that there been great job done. So thank you very much. There's no security without development, and no development without security. So I think that there are many formats within NATO how to make stronger the eastern part of NATO and east flank of NATO. But I think that those all infrastructures which are planned and all the plans which are meant to be alive within 3Cs initiative, they will also serve for security reasons. So it's all connected.
I mean, the very presence of the war, of the Russian invasion of Ukraine, makes these questions of mobility, north-south mobility, so much more important with the simply delivering and moving defense military units. And perhaps it's also making the region and the 3Cs even more prominent vehicle for how to engage with the region in response to the war. So I think there is even more to discuss now to consolidate 3Cs as a future investment to secure this part of the world and also bring back the prosperity for Ukraine. I mean, essentially, this is our main. I mean, Ukraine will be trading with 3Cs and connecting and plugging in to rebuild through the Central Eastern European economic context. So the money in 3Cs will be well spent, I guess, for Ukraine as well. Maybe that's a line. All right, thank you so much. It's been a great discussion. Thank you for your openness and also flashing out ideas for a further session. Thank you. I think we all deserve a good round of applause.
Thank you.